Something's up. Reddit, time to kick ass or chill out. Climactic update included. Hey Reddit, I'm more of a shadow dweller around here, but now it's time for me to step into the light. I've got a scenario I want to toss your way. Nothing like sharing with a few thousand online friends to get the gears grinding, am I right? Here's the rundown. I've been hitched to this powerhouse of a woman for 10 solid years. She runs this gem of a local bookstore, coupled with a coffee and sandwich shop. It's a damn good spot, and she manages it like a boss, no question. But I've been picking up on some peculiar vibes, and I'm thinking it's about time I figure this stuff out. See, every now and then, say, every other Tuesday or Wednesday, she's locked in these late-night manager meetings. Random days, never a consistent pattern. Now, I know managing requires round-the-clock commitment sometimes, but this oddball schedule has got my radar buzzing. And there's another wrinkle to this mystery. The days surrounding these late meetings, there's a shift in her. She's a little more distant, more wrapped up in her own world. But once the meeting's over, boom. It's like she's shot out of a cannon, back to her high-energy, world-dominating self. Quite the enigma, huh? So, here's where I'm at. This pattern is itching under my skin like a bad rash. Is this just managerial stress or something more? Is she stepping out? That's the elephant in the room I'm not too keen on, but it's a question that's come knocking and it needs an answer. Now, Reddit, here's where you come in. I'm ready to pull the gloves off and tackle this thing head on. But before I come out swinging, I figured it's worth hearing what you folks have to say. Am I revving my engines for a race that doesn't exist? Or is there some truth to my suspicions? And if so, what's my next move? The last thing I want to do is corner my wife with an unfounded accusation. But hey, I'm not about to let this slide either. So lay it on me, Reddit. Let me hear your wise counsel, your war stories, your take on this whole thing. It's high time I took action, one way or the other. Thanks for the ear, compators. Let's crack this case wide open. Here are some of the responses that he received. Well, my man, this is a toughie, but let's look at the facts. Your wife is consistently inconsistent with her schedule. She's distant before and after these meetings, and then suddenly she's back to her usual self. It could be stress, but something doesn't quite add up. However, I'd suggest you try to approach this calmly. Talk to her. Ask about these meetings. Don't accuse, just inquire. Communication can clear up a lot of clouds. Amigo. Honey, let me just say it, trust your gut. There's something called a woman's intuition, but trust me, men have it too. It sounds to me like there's more than just a bookstore at the end of these late nights. Get your detective hat on and do some sleuthing before you confront her. Check her phone when she's in the shower, or follow her discreetly one evening after work. And remember, you're doing this for you. It's your peace of mind at stake. Bruh, you're barking up the wrong tree, I reckon. She's working. Managing a spot like that ain't easy. You ever tried juggling a team of workers, customers, and suppliers? Shit's stressful. Chill out, let her do her thing, and support her. Stop overthinking and just be there for your girl. Hear me out, compatter. These signs are as red as they come. In my humble opinion, there's a chance she might be seeing someone else. But don't go in guns blazing, mate. You gotta gather your intel first. Do it on the down low without her knowing. Find out the truth and then confront her. It's the only way you'll know for sure, and the only way you'll have peace. Hey there, it sounds like you're having a rough time. But remember, jumping to conclusions isn't going to help. Maybe she's just stressed with work. I've had similar situations where my partner acted distant because of work-related stress. Why not try to make her feel more relaxed? Cook her favorite meal or plan a date night. If she still acts distant, then it's time to have a heart-to-heart chat. Trust is key in a relationship, and you guys need to communicate. Update number 1. Hello again, Reddit. I'm back with an update, and boy, is it a doozy. I took some advice from the comments. I decided to play both sides, chill out, but also do a bit of discreet investigating. I thought it best to give my wife the benefit of the doubt while also checking on those nagging suspicions. And well, here we are. One evening, while she was enjoying a relaxing shower, I picked up her phone. I found a string of messages between her and one of her assistant managers. Nothing overtly damning, but something about their exchange was off. The language, the lingo, it was like they were speaking in code. And let me tell you, I've seen enough spy movies and shit to know a secret code when I see one. So, here's the new theory. I'm starting to believe that these late-night meetings are not about managing the bookstore, but a rendezvous of a more personal nature. It could be happening right under the bookstore's roof, behind locked doors and dim lights, or they could be going elsewhere. I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure as hell going to find out. I looked this asshole up too, and he is married as well. So if this is really what I think it is, then I'm gonna hit him hard, if you know what I mean. I know this sounds like the plot of a bad mystery novel, but it's my life right now. And even though it hurts, I need to get to the bottom of this. I'll be getting my sister to come watch the kids next week, and we'll be venturing out to see what's really up. I promise to keep you all updated. Here is his final update. Well, as promised, guys, you ready for this shit show? I found myself parked in a shadowy corner of a lot, right across the street from the bookstore. My heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it echo in the silence around me. Minutes felt like hours, every tick of the clock stoking the growing fire within me. And then, right on cue, about 10 minutes after closing, I saw her emerge from the store. As she got into her SUV, my phone buzzed with a message. She was letting me know she'd be late tonight because of inventory work. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. I swallowed down my rage, typing back a calm, "Okay, hun, be careful and we will see you in a bit." As she drove off, I followed, my heart throbbing in sync with my accelerating speed. We reached a part of town I had never been to before, the houses unfamiliar and eerie in the late-night silence. I watched her park the car and stride into a house. All the while, I narrated everything into my phone, capturing photos and videos of her every move. Anger was boiling within me now, white-hot and consuming. But I needed to do one more thing before it erupted. I pulled up Facebook and found the profile of her assistant manager's wife. I sent her a friend request and a message, revealing who I was, where I was, and what was happening. Offering my phone number, I asked her to call if she could. She did, and she was livid. I could hear the fury in her voice, intermixed with shock and disbelief. She wanted more proof. Her demand was reasonable, and I obliged, clicking away more pictures to confirm the stark reality. She revealed that she'd been going out of town regularly to care for her ailing mother, leaving her husband and their 3 kids alone. The fact that he was using her absence, her sacrifice, to engage in this adulterous affair hit her hard. The rage was palpable in both of us. By the end of our conversation, we agreed to get some sweet, nuclear revenge before filing for our respective divorces, which included catching them in the act together and capturing some video and pics. You know, how some others out there have done it. However, the thought of waiting for the perfect moment to exact revenge on my cheating wife and her lover no longer satisfied me. There was no way in hell I was waiting a week just to help someone else get in on it. His wife was a nice person, but I'm a freaking man and I could not go through with such a dramatic plan. I knew I needed to confront them head on, to unleash my fury and expose their betrayal in a more immediate way. So after hanging up the phone with the assistant manager's wife, I took a deep breath and without further hesitation, I made my way to their house, consumed by a mixture of rage and determination. I rang the doorbell repeatedly, my heart pounding in my chest. Stepping aside to avoid the porch light, I prepared myself for the ambush that was about to unfold. The adrenaline coursed through my veins as I braced for the confrontation. As the door swung open, I lunged forward, catching the man off guard. He was only wearing a bathrobe, which made things a little awkward in the next few moments. I unleashed a relentless barrage of punches, my fists connecting with his face over and over again. The sound of each blow echoed through the night, mingling with his cries of pain. My wife, unaware of the chaos outside, remained hidden within the house. She had no idea that I had been the one to ring the doorbell or what was happening just a few feet away. With the man battered and barely coherent, I commanded him to inform my wife that I would deal with her ass when she returned home. He stumbled inside, bloodied and bruised, inevitably leaving my wife to wonder why it took him so long to return to the bedroom. I bet the horror on her face was immeasurable as she witnessed her accomplices beaten in broken state. Then, the truth striking her with even greater force, that I, her husband, was the one responsible for his current condition, and he now knew the depth of her deception. Her world crumbling before her eyes as the realization sank in, the weight of her betrayal bearing down on her, and the consequences of her actions becoming all too real. In that moment, she faced the devastating truth that her secret had been exposed and I had become an instrument of vengeance. So I went home and waited. About an hour and a half later, she arrived. I sat there, sipping down a whiskey sour, trying to calm my nerves as she came in the door. Her eyes were full of tears and puffy from crying. She started trying to apologize and I taught her to shut her whore mouth up and listen. I then told her it was over and that I didn't want to hear any shit from her mouth. I told her I was filing for divorce the next day, and I did just that. I never called his wife back, but she called me the next day. She obviously found out that her husband had taken a beating. She wasn't happy that the children discovered their father all beaten up the next day. He tried to lie to her and say that he had an accident in the garage and some boxes had fallen on him, but she knew the truth. It passed for their kids though. I guess I wasn't thinking about that. I was so angry that I didn't think of those innocent lives sleeping peacefully in their home. I'm glad they didn't wake up during the chaos. Apparently one of their kids had sent her a text from their iPods telling her about Daddy's accident. So she called him and told him she thinks she knew what happened and ended up forcing a confession out of him right then and there. Good for her. I apologized that I couldn't keep up with the deal we had made, that I tried but was overtaken by rage. She understood, but still didn't leave me feeling any better about my actions. I mean, in the end, I couldn't go slapping around my wife. That's just something I could never bring myself to do, but someone had to receive a beating, and it made sense to beat his ass. My wife was suffering in a way that was best suited for her, and that is emotionally. Oh, and by the way, the owners of the bookstore, a deeply religious couple, fired both my wife and her assistant manager. Apparently his wife called them to explain why he wouldn't be at work anytime soon, since he couldn't exactly be around customers in the shape he was in. They fired him and then called my wife in for questioning before ultimately firing her as well. So yeah, take that, you idiots. Now they get to move out and find new jobs too. Anyway, thanks for encouraging me to follow this through. Trust your guts, dudes, or rather your nose when you start smelling the bullshit. Well, that was quite the build-up. How do you think he did? What would you have done differently? When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.